Hello, 새해 복 많이 받으세요. Happy New Year everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make some Dduk Guk. It's a Korean rice cake soup. You can eat it whenever you want, but we especially eat it on New Year's. My parents would always tell us you're 1 year older once you eat this soup. So let's get started. I have all my ingredients here. Soup stock, I have a quarter of an onion, about 5 to 6 slices of kelp, anchovies in a bag, about 5 to 6, a couple slices of Korean radish, and the ends of my green onions. I have my garnishes here, about half of some green onions, julienned, as well as 2 baby carrots. And this dish is not supposed to be spicy, but if you like a little kick, I have some red jalapenos. Just over a cup of stalk, the oval rice cakes, and my egg here that we're going to fry pan later. I'm using about a quarter of a pound of beef shank. If you have beef brisket, even better. We're going to just boil that and then marinate it once it's cooked. I'm gonna get my rice cakes and let that sit in cold water for a few minutes. Let's get to making our broth. About 6 cups here. I'm making enough for 2 people. Maybe add in my onions, kelp, 다시마. Tighten my bag of anchovies. Put that in there. Some and some green onion stems. And we're gonna let that come to a boil. Now while that cooks, I'm going to add in another separate pot, my beef, and let that cook until it's nice and fully done. You can also use the broth that comes from the beef, but today we're going to make a clean anchovy broth, so you can easily just take out the anchovies if you want to keep it vegetarian. I'm going to crack the egg into a bowl. Go ahead and whisk that. You can separate the egg yolks and the whites and pan fry it separately, but I want to make this recipe as easy and simple as possible. So we're going to just combine it all. Pan fry the eggs with a little bit of oil, make the egg garnish. Going to put a little bit of oil in the pan and put my eggs. Be careful not to burn them. Put off the heat and let it cool down completely before we get to cutting them in long thin strips. So my eggs have cooled down. I am going to roll it up. Thin strips. And we're going to use them for our garnish later. And you can see they are nice thin strips. They look like this, nice and thin. I went ahead and cut my carrots lightly on a pan. Alright, my soup has been cooking, so I'm going to go ahead and strain out all the vegetables and anchovies. I like a nice clear broth. I'm going to leave the roux in there because I like to eat it. For everything else, we're going to discard. Put a tiny bit of minced garlic. I have some gukkanjang here. People like to put in eggs in the soup directly. I like to just keep it clean. A little bit of salt and pepper to taste. You want to put the rice cakes in just a few minutes before serving because you don't want them to get too mushy. You want that nice chewy texture. So I have my meat here that I've already shredded. Some people like to marinate it raw and then cook it on the fry pan. I prefer to boil it and then marinate it after. Add maybe about half a teaspoon at most of minced garlic. Just a sprinkle of a little bit of cane sugar. Teaspoon and a half of soy sauce. Teaspoon of sesame oil. And we're gonna go ahead and just mix that up. If you like your food a little bit saltier, feel free to add more soy sauce or salt and pepper. I'm going to put in some of my dduk, the oval rice cakes. When they're ready, they're going to float to the top. You really don't need to cook them too long. I like mine chewy. Also a tip is if you have gorigomtang, the oxtail soup broth, if you use that for the Dduk Guk, it's very yummy as well. They're floating to the top like this. That means they're ready. And let's go ahead and eat. Pour your soup and dduk in. Going to add my shredded beef, some eggs, shredded carrots, green onions. Gonna add some cumin that we've shredded, seaweed, and the jalapeno just for that kick. Also, if you want to make Dduk Guk, which is dumpling and rice cake soup, you can go ahead and add the dumplings right before you put in the rice cakes, and put the rice cakes in maybe halfway through, and you'll have a nice and yummy Dduk Guk.
Happy New Year, Chachi!
Happy New Year! Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.